Hey guys, Az here at Shield K9, and today I'm going to share with you my personal schedule for training any dog that comes here to Shield K9. I'm also going to give you guys my personal schedule for training my own dogs, the dogs that you've been seeing all over the YouTube channel. So stay tuned, I'm going to share it all with you. Hey guys, before we move forward, I just wanted to quickly mention some of the dog training equipment we carry on the shieldk9.ca website. This is all equipment that we use here daily at Shield K9 when we are training dogs. The MCRS balls are pretty iconic by now. Everybody's always asking me where I get these balls. Well, I get these balls from me. I actually order them from a company in Europe and they are shipped here. These are a high quality piece of equipment. You know, hard rubber on the outside with strong magnets on the inside, so it sticks to you. Most magnet balls have a magnet on the strap. These actually have internal magnets, so the ball sticks right where you want it to be. This is the softer version, this is the harder version. So check out our website, shieldk9.ca. We ship all over North America. We got the dual magnet, so obviously for a magnet ball to stick to you, you need a magnet, right? You can just put that magnet anywhere on your body. There's two of them, they come in a little package, and they're very strong magnets, and the ball will stick right to them. Okay, so the dual magnet, the magnet balls, all available, shieldk9.ca. Okay guys, so moving forward, let's talk about my dog training schedule. So I'm gonna start first with the dogs that we get here at Shield K9, all right? Most of you that are watching this probably are what we would call a pet owner, okay? You have a nice pet dog and you just want your dog to be trained to do all the things that a pet dog needs to know how to do. When we say a dog is fully trained, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So it's important to enumerate what we actually mean by this. Typically, for a pet dog, what I find over the years of training pet dogs, the most effective form of training for these dogs is functional obedience training. And then, of course, if there are some behavior problems, we need to do behavior modification. What is functional obedience? Well, I need a dog that doesn't pull me on the leash. I need a dog that will sit and down and stay on command. I need a dog that will go to a place bed and stay on that bed on command. I need a dog that will come when he's called off the leash. And I need a dog that will walk next to me on command, right? I also need a dog that's going to go in a crate on command and stay in his crate without, you know, causing all sorts of noise and havoc. If there's any behavioral problems, like he's barking at other dogs or, you know, he's a little bit fearful or whatever it is, those problems will also need to be fixed. So the average dog that comes here to Shield K9 would kind of fall into the category of they don't really know much of anything. Maybe they went to a puppy school when they were younger, but generally by our standards, they really don't know anything. They don't even know how to sit reliably. So your typical dog, if we want to do complete on and off leash training and some basic behavior modification, takes us approximately 4 weeks. I hold up 3 fingers there. 4 weeks to train. Now that can vary, of course, depending on the breed, depending on the dog, depending on the history, depending on the behavioral issues. It's not a set in stone number, but we're talking approximately 4 weeks. And the reason why it takes us 4 weeks is because the dogs don't know us, right? They don't know us, they don't love us. It actually takes about a week to build a basic relationship with the dog, right? Unless it's a super open, confident, happy, social dog, which a lot of the ones that we train are not, all right? So 4 weeks, you're looking at approximately an hour and a half of training a day, usually not all at the same time, maybe 2 hours on a really busy day. And typically what we'll do is we'll train the dog for, you know, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then we'll put the dog away, let the dog relax, let the dog soak up the lesson, you know, sleep if he or she has to sleep, maybe have a little food, drink some water, whatever it is. And then, you know, a few hours later, we'll pull the dog out and train again. Now, this again is not with dogs that belong to us. With that schedule, your average dog will be fully on and off leash obedience trained, able to handle distractions, you know, able to be out in public, can sit down, recall off leash, walk next to you, all that type of stuff, okay? And I know a lot of people are like, what? I thought this took years. It does not take years to train a dog functional obedience. Okay, it simply does not. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of places that are kind of selling that dream, and I get why from a financial perspective, but it just doesn't take that long, all right? And at the most, you know, with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, you know, if you're working with a trainer, it shouldn't take you more than a few months to have those basics in place unless you have a really, really, really tough case, which most of you, I guarantee, do not, because by definition, a really tough case would be a very, very small percentage of dogs. Now, let's talk about my personal dogs, okay? My personal schedule. When I have a puppy in my house and I'm training him, all right? And by the way, puppy training and young adult training or adult training for me is different. For me, between the ages of 8 weeks, from birth to 6 months, I consider this a puppy. I have lower expectations for this dog. They have less of an attention span. You know, they tend to be a little bit just like small human children. They can only handle so much. Can I really make that dog listen and behave like an older dog? I could, but I don't personally believe in it. I really like to let puppies be puppies, but there are some things that I really insist on training puppies how to do. I won't hold them to the standard of obedience that I hold a older dog to, but at the same time, like I said, there is training that I do with them. Typically, I spend 2 sessions a day with my personal puppies. I will train them when I feed them. So if you think about it, a dog eats twice a day. Your average dog, right, will eat twice a day unless you're free feeding, which I strongly do not suggest that you do. But your average dog will eat twice a day. Well, what better time to train the dog than at feeding time, right? I don't feed my dogs out of a bowl. I'll just train them for the food. And a lot of my puppy training is all, for the most part, positive, okay? So I'm using food in the training. So I'll just train the dog, 2 sessions, maybe 15, 20 minutes max. Usually with puppies, to be honest, 15 for me is a long time. And that'll be it. And believe me, if you're doing it every day, if you're consistent every day, twice a day, you're putting in 10, 15 minutes, your puppy is going to learn things. And he's going to learn a lot of things. By the time he's 6 months old, he's going to know a lot of stuff. And then when it's time to kind of dial up the standard of your training and ask a little more, he's going to be mentally ready for that. And he's already going to have a super good association with the training. So it's really important, to obviously tailor the training to the age and to the difficulty level of the dog. Now, we get some really bad behavior cases in. For these dogs, obviously, you can't rush it. You have to take longer. These dogs, maybe you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. So if you see on my online courses, I know, shameless plug, you'll see that I say off leash in 6 weeks. If you look at my book, I'll say, if you read this book and you follow the instructions in this book, you'll get to complete off leash obedience for the average dog in 6 weeks, right? Here's the thing. If you have like a really, really tough case, a super fearful dog, maybe a super aggressive, nasty dog, something like this, then, you can be looking at 8 weeks. But again, you're looking at 3 to 4 sessions a day, just putting that time in. Here's one little secret I'm going to share with you guys. When we're talking about functional obedience, there's a difference between training new behaviors and maintaining existing behaviors. You need to have a systemic approach to training your dog. You shouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to train recalls, sit, down, place, heel, all at once. No. First, okay, I'm going to focus on one behavior, all right? Let me focus on teaching him not to pull me. All right, I've got that down. It's taken me a few days. He understands generally not to pull me. Let me now start teaching him a sit and a down stay, all right? And while I'm teaching him the sit and the down stay, it doesn't mean that I abandon the no pulling. The thing about functional obedience is it's everyday life. So once I've shown the dog a basic concept, right, and I know that he has a pretty good understanding of what I want, I will now hold him accountable to that concept while I move on to the next thing. So it's not that I've stopped training loose leash walking, for instance, while I'm training the sit and down. It's just that loose leash walking is now a standard. I've created this standard and I'm not going to progress I'm going to progress, but I'm still going to hold him to that standard, right? Once he has a basic understanding of sitting down, maybe I'll start training the off-leash recalls, okay? But it doesn't mean that now he can stop sitting and downing when I ask him to, of course, within reason, right? So my schedule for training a dog, whether it's my dog or somebody else's dog, is not what a lot of people think. It's just all day, every day you're training that one dog. You will blow a dog out doing that. Dogs are like kids. I know I've said it a lot. I'll say it again. They are like kids. Even the older dogs, they don't have the attention span to do like a 1-hour training session. That is way too much for them. You put the training in, especially if you're teaching them something new, you put the training in, and then you just kind of let them soak it up. And then by the time a dog is kind of fairly advanced, let's say we've had the dog now 3 weeks, and he kind of knows everything. Maybe he doesn't know everything perfectly, but he knows everything, okay? Now I'm going to do what I call, just a walk and train. I'm just going to walk that dog around, take him in public, right? Or I'll walk him in the woods, and I'll let him do his thing, and then sometimes I'll ask him to do one of my things. I'm like, okay, you're running around, down. He lies down, or maybe he doesn't, and I have to do what I need to do to make him lie down. He lies down. Good boy, I reward him. Break. You know, then he goes and he has fun, he does his thing, then I recall the dog, you know, and oh, that was a nice recall, or maybe it wasn't. So I'll break him and then have him recall again, right? And I just start showing the dog the obedience really quickly in the context of life. The mistake a lot of people make with obedience, well, there's two real big mistakes people make with obedience. A, they think obedience training is only for the training room or the backyard or your kitchen or wherever it is that you're doing your obedience training. Or they always ask obedience from the dog, and they're always putting the dog in obedience, and they're like a drill sergeant, always ordering the dog to do something. Neither extreme is good, okay? There are basic standards for life that we show the dog, and we can show him these standards and these rules really quickly. Loose leash walking, don't be reactive to other dogs, listen even if there's distractions, come when you're called, all these things you can train a dog really, really fast. But at the same time, I'm not always going to make him do something. A lot of the time, I'm just going to let him be around me, because the whole point of training a dog, if you really think about it, is to give him freedom. What's the point of training the dog if not to give him freedom? I want my dogs to be loose around me, but attentive if I ask them to do something. So you'll often see me just walking and my dogs are just kind of meandering around me, smelling, because they know, and I know, that when I call them, they'll come right back. If I ask them to walk next to me, they'll walk next to me. If I ask them to lie down, even if it's way over there, they will lie down. And then I give them their freedom again, right? So that's the ultimate point, I think, of obedience training. Functional obedience training anyways, is to give them that freedom. Now, I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of an angle here. I'm going to talk a little bit about sport training, okay? If you're training for dog sport, of course, it's extremely complex, and that's like almost a never-ending process. You're going to spend years just training every day to get to the level that you want to be at, regardless of the sport. You know, any sport, to be in the top levels, it takes a fair bit of skill, and it takes a fair bit of talent from both the handler and the dog. So that's a whole different kettle of fish. So if you want to ask me how often I train my sport dogs, I train my sport dogs, you know, usually every day, twice or 3 times a day, you know, 10, 15-minute sessions, and I've been doing that for years, and I'm going to keep doing that, and they're still not done, and it's still not perfect, right? And that's just the way it is. If you want to talk about real protection dogs or, you know, police canine, it's not quite as stringent, but even these dogs need a lot of maintenance training. But it's not that you're spending hours and hours training the dog. It's little training session, take a break, little training session, take a break, little training session, take a break, and then, you know, 3 training sessions in a day, that's a lot of sessions. Maybe we're going to relax now. Maybe 4 if the dog can handle it. Some dogs can't. For puppies, I don't recommend doing tons and tons and tons of training sessions, unless you're going to keep them really, really short. All right, guys. So that's my personal schedule and my outlook on, you know, how long it takes to train a dog. For me, the average dog on and off leash, 4 weeks. If it's a little bit more of a challenging type of dog or breed, maybe 6 weeks. And then if it's a really tough case, 8 weeks. For my puppies, again, you're never going to be done puppy training. It's just about kind of setting the foundation and preparing them for the training that you're going to give them when they're older. For me, it's just twice a day with their food. Of course, if they're here for a board and train, we do train them more often than that. And of course, a lot of puppy training for me is just showing them the world, a lot of exposure and socialization done the right way. That's another video. We're not going to talk about that right now. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, comment below whether you agree or disagree. I'm sure I forgot something in this video, or I didn't mention something. That's the nature of YouTube. You know, you try to do it as fast as you can. Full power training. You like these shirts? I don't know that we're going to put these on the website. I did a limited run of these shirts, and they're not cheap, but if you want them, info@shieldk9.ca. And then, of course, we have all our dog training equipment, online courses, shieldk9.ca. Check it out. Thank you for watching.